It's very difficult. It doesn't happen overnight, but basically the thing is, so you're starting to be really concerned about a situation, and I believe you have two choices. Either you stop what you do and you turn into, like, we all have so many friends who stopped doing the what's called the stupid jobs, and managed to find a meaning to their lives by making bread or doing ceramics or growing tomatoes. Maybe once a week, I still think I have to stop everything and grow tomatoes. Or you have the other choice, that is, use your experience and your skills and what you've learned and made better over years, and use this to make a change. And I don't believe in it every other day. Like, it's really difficult. Some days I'm like, okay, the situation is so terrible. How art is gonna make any difference? And some other days, the example you gave, like, we've shown to so many people, like thousands and thousands of people worldwide. This the biggest coal mine in Germany, 1 hour and a half from where we work and live. And there's also so many problems in Mexico and in Peru and in China, but showing this specific mine and giving an interest to it shows that we are all connected in this problem. And you talk about taking action, and that's one of the slogan of Extension Rebellion. And Joanie will talk more about that because he was in full action last week. And for him, it's the only way that it doesn't fall into total despair is by taking action. And we decided at some point that our actions will be stronger if we use our skills, our equipment, our network. And then it was possible also thanks to opportunities. Like this exhibition you saw in Mexico happens thanks to the support of Foundation Telefonica in Madrid, and was shown in Mexico and Peru also thanks to Foundation Telefonica. And the foundation was the money maker. But in the foundation, you had one person who's the head of exhibition that believed in us and trusted us. At first, when they came to us, they really wanted a team lab style exhibition. And it was a conversation we had with them to propose an exhibition that was half of the exhibition about these digital landscapes that you could expect from a studio like Team Lab or what we've been doing for many years. And the other half was entirely about, the destruction of the environment, activists taking actions. And at the time, we could not believe that they would get on board with that and that they would give this visibility to what we had to say. And then it turned out to be really successful, this exhibition, but also this project that's called Slow Violence. That's an audiovisual project on this coal mine and these activists. It's been shown in 12 places in the past 2 years, including 5 places in Germany. So we did it. Honestly, at the beginning, we thought, okay, if we do a project around that, we're going to lose money, but it's okay. We will fund the project. So we totally self-funded the project at the beginning. And for Joanie, it was all along the creative process, it was almost impossible to believe really that this would be a good audiovisual project. And it did in the end.
Yeah, it's funny. To be honest, all this story happened also a little bit by accident. And then with the help of Juliette, we sort of streamed this into a more sort of creative output. But I can show you in just a few slides. It's a very visual story. That's why it's so meaningful to me. I work a lot around landscapes. And for some reason, I love especially desertic landscapes. So you see here like a trip we did a couple of years ago. And I'm always interested in this representation of nature, but very dry, geometrical, black and white, cold aesthetics. And this is something I love. To be honest, I'm also very much inspired by I was always inspired by the work of Alva Noto and the sort of very dry, minimal techno. I think a lot of us sort of like this. And so I've been sort of exploring those landscapes, sort of dystopian, end of the world landscapes. This is for the geeks like me. This is 3D rendered using Octane. So the lighting is a lot more realistic. And I've been pushing this sort of aesthetics of dystopia because I like it so much. Because I loved Mad Max. I loved all those films from the 90s where, everything disappears. And then I discovered by accident this location. This is pure randomness. This image that I like so much, which was made with World Machine. And this picture that I took with a drone, which is, it's a location only an hour and a half from our studio in Brussels. You can see here the location of the largest coal mine of Europe. And this is the place.
Wow.
It's big. It's 8 kilometers by 5, and it's very dark. This is an actual picture from the drone. And this is shocking. When you get to the edge of the mine and you see this, in the background is 3 power plants where the coal that you see here in the black area in the center, the coal is being taken with directly to those power plants. And this is like the Mordor, the end of the world. So I was really shocked when I first saw this place. And it's almost impossible to believe because this looks like the end of the world, really, like a really horrible dystopian film.
So as a visual artist, you also, of course, you had a personal crisis, but you also had an aesthetic crisis, realizing like a visual crisis as well. The feeling of responsibility was on different aspects. It was like the way we use technology, the way we, with every work we do, we say technology is amazing, you do art with technology, as well as the image was like for so many years producing images that have no life, that are like lifeless, and then realizing that the reality is becoming exactly the same as these dry imaginaries. This was not instant switch, but it really forced us to ask ourselves what type of imaginaries we want to propose to the audience. And that's also why now we're moving to what could be completely different art installations, but we try to bring life, to bring nature, to bring water, to bring the light of the sun, also as a way to make those imaginaries as desirable as the mad and dead landscapes have been during growing up. Like Joanie talked very often how he was inspired also by the Hollywood movies, and these aesthetics were more or less the only proposal of what the future could be. So as a curator, I'm convinced that it's hard for people to imagine things that they have not seen already. The only people for who easier are the artists and the visual artists. They can imagine things that do not exist yet. So that is why I believe artists have a bigger role to play than sometimes they believe they do.